This nonsense from like AOC that he should be impeached is just absurd. Absurd. There's no... Okay, get back to me when you've read the Constitution or get a law degree, because you sound like an...
Megyn Kelly's remark froze the entire room. It wasn't a light comment or a harmless tease, but a sharp hit that instantly shifted the atmosphere. AOC, normally poised and firmly in command, seemed caught off guard by what came next, and no one saw the sudden turn coming. After witnessing that exchange, it's hard to see AOC in the same way because everything changed in just moments.
Absolutely no ground to impeach the president. He 100% was within his constitutional authority and his congressionally authorized authority to do what he did on Saturday. Okay, but as for whether it's a good idea, that's a debate we should be having. And look, you know, if we could get congressional approval of the specific action, fine, I'm okay with that too. If you want to bring it to Congress, go ahead and see how that goes. I don't think it's necessary.
When Megyn focused solely on AOC, things quickly spiraled out of control. What followed was not quiet nor friendly. It became a heated back and forth since AOC was clearly unprepared for the burden. Megyn did more than just point out minor errors in AOC's assertions. She swiftly and brutally cut through them, leaving the audience in awe at how quickly the scene developed.
On AOC and see what she had.
What's going on with Elon Musk and President Trump on Twitter right now?
Oh man, the girls are fighting, aren't they? I think this breakup we've been seeing a long time coming, but we'll see what the impacts are of it legislatively.
Okay. You're so cool referring to them as the girls. She's above it all, Ben. That's what she's trying to telegraph. You see, she's the adult in the room, the one out there who does a preacher accent, and she leans into her fake Latina accent. And like she's the
Megyn Kelly's normally upbeat Instagram live style, calm, joyful, chatting with her followers, abruptly turned to someone who wasn't sure how to respond when she asked AOC directly. The alteration happened so quickly that it was hard to observe. Actually, AOC's communication approach emphasizes personality and enthusiasm more than accurate information or careful planning. Rather than meaningful policy speeches, her work often resembles short theatrical movies intended to go viral. People watch her because she is adept at creating meaningful, unforgettable moments, not because she offers detailed answers.
radical left, who's gone beyond all the identity issues. I mean, don't get me wrong, the person I'm going to show you is 100% wrapped in all of them. But, like, genuinely believes the Hitler fascist stuff, like, is distraught because they really think Hitler just got reelected. Most of them were just pretending, but then there are the ones who genuinely believe it, like AOC.
We are about to enter a political period that will have consequences for the rest of our lives. Donald Trump has talked about turning the military on U.S. citizens that he deems his domestic political.
She places a strong emphasis on succinct statements, straightforward arguments, and persuasive reasoning. This is exactly what happened. Arriving confident, AOC expected her usual strategy, a boisterous speech, bold assertions, and grand gestures to work. But Megyn remained utterly unfazed. She broke down each of AOC's claims one by one until AOC's self-assured manner gave way to that of someone trying to present a report for which they were unprepared. Megyn's approach worked because she remained calm, focused, and impartial. The audience was both amused and hushed as she deconstructed AOC's claims piece by piece. The confident, engaging woman seemed surprisingly ordinary.
Has been out there on this, I don't know if it's campaign trail, I don't know what we're calling it, but this, like, Fight the Oligarchy tour with Bernie Sanders, from which, you know, venue to venue, she travels first class, sipping her champagne, you know, in the first class cabin as the losers and plebs walk by to coach, the one she's really fighting for. And she's decided to ramp up her anti-Trump rhetoric in a way she's done before, but that could be deeply problematic for her if Trump actually decides to pay some attention.
Despite the organization's tight control and carefully crafted image, Megyn revealed sides of AOC that most people never mention. With flawless delivery, sharp timing, and expressive storytelling, she made every point hit with force. In an instant, AOC's usually confident style no longer looked bold or inspiring. It felt shaky, almost theatrical in the wrong way. And Megyn didn't simply push back on AOC's ideas, she challenged the entire presentation, something hardly anyone ever calls out. Once she brought that into the open, there was no turning the moment around. The audience's reaction said everything. Surprised, doubtful, and even slightly entertained, no matter how hard supporters tried to smooth it over, the polished image had already fallen apart.
He may be getting ready to run for president, that her team is looking, and I know you've said she could potentially do it, but her team is looking at maybe Senate. Chuck Schumer is, I think, going to be 78 when he runs for re-election. That's really old, and the Democrats seem to get that now. Or she might just go for president. And at the same time, this happened today. The Republicans in the House introduced a resolution to honor Charlie Kirk. It condemns the murder.
AOC had no real comeback this time. Her reply faded almost instantly, leaving only the echo of her words. She likely assumed she could manage the situation the way she always does, step into the role of the wronged figure, rally her base, and steer the online narrative back in her favor. But things quickly shifted against her. Politicians get pressed on policy every day, yet the performance behind their message is almost never exposed, and that's exactly where Megyn struck. She zeroed in on AOC's greatest asset, her ability to draw attention, and flipped it on its head. Suddenly, the booming tone, sweeping motions, and dramatic pauses no longer looked bold. They felt forced, as if she were trying to hold the room rather than naturally commanding it. And once a public figure starts to look strained, the entire act unravels. In the end, Megyn didn't just win the exchange, she reshaped how people viewed AOC, because once you notice the staging behind the speeches, it's impossible to ignore. Much like discovering that every action scene you adored was crafted by someone else.
Of course he's lying and abusing and manipulating the stock market too. When he talks about rapists and criminals, he should look in the mirror.
Clearly saying that Donald Trump is a racist. Rapist. She also thinks he's a racist. He's all the ists. But here, she's in deep trouble because he was not found liable for rape, and George Stephanopoulos just had to pay ABC some $15 million to President Trump to settle a defamation.
Megyn wasn't even trying her hardest. This was her on a normal day, sipping coffee slowly and analyzing a politician without making any attempt. If she ever decided to completely pursue AOC, it would be more akin to a full-scale political takedown than an interview. Furthermore, once Megyn exposes something, the internet never lets it go. Employees scramble behind the scenes to try to stop the damage. But when memes start to circulate and late-night shows contribute, it never succeeds. AOC's only option at this point might be to embrace the theatrics because the performance stopped operating after Megyn's moment.
There's AOC, who said
Chiefs were ignorant, uneducated, and sought to disenfranchise millions of Americans. Far from the working tirelessly to promote unity, unquote, asserted by the majority.
Then she voted no. She refused to join in the resolution. Consequences to her politically for doing that?
I would love to have her run for president of the Democratic side. It's a contrast, right? What you see is what you get. If that's what you think can lead this country, is that where your values are? Is that what you think will continue to promote American?
Was not there to applaud. When she stepped in and ended the illusion, the tension in the room became clear. In reality, this is how performance politics operate. It works only if people believe in it. Megyn highlighted the pattern. AOC's expressive gaze, long pauses, and sweeping hand motions, the things that are usually commended seemed forced and repetitive. It was like to seeing someone do a magic trick that you were previously familiar with. The excitement wanes as you discover the location of the card. It was evident that AOC knew about it as well. Her entire strategy is based on controlling the current message and attitude. When that control slipped, nothing seemed to be the same.
The reason this is relevant is because a congresswoman, who you may know as Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, has been telling us for years that she is from the Bronx. And recently she had a fight with President Trump over tweet, text, truth, whatever. And she played tough and said, "Oh, don't you mess with me. I'm a Bronx girl. And we eat Queens boys for breakfast." Because that's where Trump was raised, in the Queens. And respectfully, AOC. Well, that's real cute, except she only lived in the Bronx until she was age 5. The rest of her childhood, 1 through 12th grade, in Yorktown Heights, which is Westchester. And by any measure, it is richer, nicer, and more white collar than the Bronx, with all due respect to my friends in the Bronx. She's pretending to be a Bronx girl because she wants this to be part of her origin story, the same way as she wants now to be called Alexandria Ocasio.
When Megyn stripped away that sense of control, everything began to unravel. AOC no longer appeared as a bold leader, but instead resembled a performer caught mid-scene without the next line, and Megyn calmly highlighted each exaggerated gesture, every point landing harder than the last. AOC's political presence has long depended on having a clear rival and a steady dose of dramatic tension to keep the spotlight focused on her. But when the person across from her stayed composed and simply revealed the emptiness behind the theatrics, the clash evaporated, leaving only quiet and a fading sense of command. Her supporters rushed online with emotional defenses, yet the more they tried to justify the moment, the more obvious it became that the exchange had not helped her at all. It had weakened her.
Place, not necessarily fourth place. This is just, I'm going to start with as the fourth possibility, but I've got 4 total, and you'll decide what order they go in. I'm going to kick it off with AOC. Okay. Her real name is Sandy Ocasio. This is what she went by her entire life, Sandy Ocasio. And only when she decided to run for office did she decide to suddenly become Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and lean into her Puerto Rican history, where her mother was born in Puerto Rico, but her father was born in New York City. And she decided to tell us sob stories about how she's from a poor family and she was living, paycheck to paycheck. Meanwhile, she was raised in a Tony part of Westchester called York.
Her long pauses were turned into uncomfortable gaps, screenshots captured her looking unsettled, and captions mocked her for being shallow. Once something is labeled a joke online, credibility doesn't just fade, it collapses entirely. Every move starts to look practiced, every quiet moment feels staged, and every emotional appeal comes across as a scripted act. That's when the polished image finally shattered, and AOC's carefully built brand could no longer hold together. While her supporters rushed to shield her from criticism and offer excuses, even major outlets began acknowledging what was plain to see. Through it all, Megyn stayed steady and laid bare the truth about the presentation.